So, welcome. Thank you for waiting. Good to hear all your voices, seeing where everyone's from. Quite a variety, actually, not just mostly the US. Edmonton. I used to live there in Canada for a while. Too cold. For me, at least. And now it's too hot, but that's my preference in the Philippines. Great. So, for the most part, I don't know where this will go in the class throughout the next couple of months, but we'll see. I do have a specific structure planned, and to the mind, it might seem like, oh, there's not a rigid structure we might follow. It might make seem, it might make things seem unclear, but that is also the point of this course that we want to embrace what is not clear, embrace the unpredictable, try to see beyond what we what we are, see beyond the usual concepts that we've already learned. As you know, the course has been advertised or described in a way that this isn't about new ideas necessarily. It's not about a new belief system. It's not about a new set of structures or a new set of practices. This is something very foundational towards uh, all all spiritual teachings in a sense. So, you know, I studied philosophy in university, and we were taught quite clearly that the first subject in universities were philosophy before, and that is basically the foundation to maths, to English, to sciences. And in the same way, that's what I'd like to study and explore and teach and transmit here, that it doesn't really matter the concepts or the ideas or the belief system or the doctrines that we've already been following and studying, but rather we want to give attention to and nurture the ultimate goal of all of those things. And by the end of the course, I'm I'm hoping that you will start to get a sense of something very specific within you that is able to illuminate your whole life in ways that it hasn't illuminated before. And that might, listening to myself, that might sound like another spiritual promise from another teacher or a guru. And it might sound nice, and it is nice. What I'm describing is essentially what samadhi is. What I'm describing is essentially the bliss and the enlightenment. But in order to get there, I don't want to say it's hard because that is described throughout all traditions and religions, that to get to the enlightenment, to get to the end goal is hard. In a sense, it is hard. It's hard for the mind. But it's very simple and it's very easy for the essence, for our nature within us, if we allow it. And if the mind starts to relax, starts to ease itself. So let us have a quick orientation meditation, let's say. Let us close our eyes for a moment, taking some deep breaths, not mechanically, becoming aware of the breath, becoming aware of the ability to breathe, to be grateful for the breath, because we're starting something new in this course, starting to see with fresh eyes, or rather not fresh, but the awareness that we've always had since the beginning of existence. Let us become aware of wherever we are right now, internally and externally, observing the patterns of our day, maybe just 5 minutes ago, 10 minutes ago, the past hours, been very busy, hectic. Maybe the body was active. Don't do anything about this. Just become aware. Maybe you didn't do a lot today, but mind was very active. Many thoughts, ideas, fantasies. Again, nothing to do, only become aware. Because once you're aware, there's a certain light that settles the darkness, settles the mind. Let us take a few more deep breaths. Interrupting the patterns of our mind through our awareness, natural awareness. Taking another deep breath, feeling it through the lungs, feeling the stomach and the chest expanding. You can hold the breath a little bit and exhale fully. Opening our eyes slowly. Noticing where we are. I want you to try and notice something in your room that you didn't notice before. Maybe there's an object out of place, or you dropped something that you didn't know. Observe how the mind says, "This is my room, I know this." Try to look around the room as if it's a new room. Because once you do, you start to give life and consciousness to the room that you're in. It's a vibration, an energy. In the same way, once you start to give awareness to yourself internally, you start to have a new life, a new vibration, a new understanding. But if we don't give attention, we don't give awareness, then we remain the same. We remain the same as before. This person that I call Jean, this person that I call Adam, Angel, Justin, Colette, Sarah, Kyle, Carl, Nicola, Stephanie, Matthias, Kai, John. I won't go through the 200 people here. But if we don't tend to the fire, if we don't tend to the light that is within us, if we don't tend to the purpose of why we're here, we remain the same. We remain as this person with a set of beliefs, a set of uh, a certain level of understanding. And if we never tend to the fire, we stay the same. And I hope by the end of this course, you'll understand that we're here in life as a creator, more or less with the same ability as what people call God. Not in the sense that we can move mountains or something very fantastical, but in the sense that we have the power to create our life according to however we want. And how our life will be or which way it will go about will be according to the fire itself, the light itself, our own being. We all have a true nature. And so our whole life is here to be like a clay, a clay maker or a clay molder. I don't know exactly what it's called. But if we stop spinning the clay, we just remain as we are until death. And then when we die, that's it. All the beliefs, our certain level of understanding, it all goes to the grave. So this course is not about beliefs. It's not about the ideas we have, but it's about the light that you can attend to from moment to moment. There is somewhere in the astral, in the internal world, somewhere, a certain level for each person here. We could say that there is a measurement of who is the most enlightened here. And maybe there is some of you here that is has the ability of this more than me. The ability for you to tend to and stay with the inner light, this inner presence, which can be with you from moment to moment, even during the most unconscious times. This is when you know it's the most you're making progress. Even during when you're angry, even during when there is a lot of ego, even during your most destructive moments. I want this for each and every one of you, that during your most destructive and unconscious and darkest moments, there's a light there that is just simply being and watching without any judgment and is understanding everything. Because if you can achieve that, it's inevitable that whatever unconscious patterns that are within you will begin to deconstruct because of this light that we are working to generate. So let me share my screen. Now, why the symbol of the caduceus? This is actually our school logo. It is related to the Kundalini, the chakras, the inner energy system. But more simply, it's related to what I just said, that when the unconscious patterns dissolve, when someone is illuminated, truly illuminated, not from an assigned belief, not from their their ideas, or not from the books that they study or the teachers that they follow, but a true from moment to moment vibration and a new illumination, a light that comes that is generated from within, then we can say that this symbol begins to become active in a person. That's a very simple way to say it. And when it's active, you can see that there are wings. A person becomes free. And that is the whole point and the whole spirit of this course, to move towards freedom, true freedom, intellectually, emotionally, and in all of the different centers of ourselves. But first, to move more basic, to start in the beginning, we can say that we say that we're alive. However, everyone is sleeping to a certain degree. If you go out in the world, you see social media, you talk to people, there is a certain sense, if you have it attuned, the sense of this, the fact that people and ourselves are dreaming and sleeping, yet we say that we're alive. To be alive and to be awake in the true sense of it, internally, with the consciousness, is something else. A person can wake up from the bed and still be sleeping unconsciously. During physical sleep, we're dreaming all night, and when we wake up, we continue the dreams. There's something not fully awake, fully alive. Something is still adhering to the mind. Something is still thinking about the future. Many parts of us are still stuck in the past. And so what we want to do here in this course is begin to interrupt ourselves. In a sense, I commend everyone for coming and attending and being interested in this, because there is a certain sense of friction here. Because I'm not selling you some new ideas, and I'm not entertaining you so much mm, with nice ideas again. I think a lot of you have watched my YouTube videos on the chakras. Guess what is the most popular videos on the channel, right? Uh, right, the chakras, the the Kundalini. And I talk about many fanciful ideas there, and people love it. But here, we're really looking to face ourselves. We're looking to create something new. And it takes a lot of courage, it takes a lot of honesty, and it takes a lot of work to remember yourself and to really observe yourself. There's something, if there's anything you want to understand about self-observation, the first thing you need to understand, or if you've ever read about it or learned it from a teacher, there's something very important to understand to make it a complete teaching, that it's impossible. I don't know how some of you might have started your spiritual journey last year, 2 years, 3 years. Maybe if you've been studying and practicing for 3 years minimum, okay, maybe you're just starting to understand what self-observation is in the beginning. It's impossible. There is nobody on the face of the planet who's just heard about self-observation and can truly practice it. I can say I've been on this path very sincerely, with a lot of tears, a lot of struggle, a lot of drama in my life, a lot of difficulty, a lot of change, a lot of transformation. I can say after over 13 or 14 years now, self-observation is starting to become very, very grounded and very balanced. In the beginning, it's very scattered. In the beginning, the awareness refuses to see a lot. Not that it refuses, it's just there's a lot of walls in between. If you've ever watched what's this movie with Jim Carrey, where he's stuck in a world and there's a veil in the back in the in the distance. The Truman Show, yes. I encourage you to watch it if you've not watched it. Self-observation is quite like that. You believe that you're an observer. You believe that you understand everything around your world. And at some point, you'll just realize the whole thing was a sham from the beginning, and that even the sky was not real. And in the same way, there are many veils that are pulled over our eyes, not because of other people, not because of the news or the media or politics or anything like this, simply because of ourselves. And that's why I said this work takes a lot of honesty and it takes a lot of commitment. It takes a real drive and a real desire to commit to the very purpose of our life, of why we're here, and in order to learn about this. So that might be difficult to hear, because what I want to say is that if you don't have this sort of fire, this burning push and drive to really change and really open your eyes internally, and all of the enthusiasm that you have put towards spiritual ideas externally, outwardly, redirect that to refining yourself. If you're not quite ready for that, then I would say take a step back and maybe delay something. Because this is really for those who are really ready to awaken, really ready to change something. Because this is also not something to force. Because if it's done prematurely, sometimes it can make problems. It can make problems in the sense that a person doesn't want it. Someone really wants to, I don't know, just focus on something material externally. There's a sense that if someone's ready, then they're ready. And if they're not quite ready. Probably most of you here are ready, but I'm just giving a sense of the spirit that's needed for this kind of work. And so I'd like to do an experiment because, as I said, as I said, uh, there's many veils. And for a person to sit in a room by themselves, we see it a lot in a lot of spiritual movements. A person can sit in a room by themselves and believe that they're observing themselves and believe that they have learned something new. A great key, a vital key that we need on this journey is other people. There's a certain friction and a certain mirror, a reflection that is offered to us when we are interacting with others. The famous quote by, oh, who was it? Descartes? I'm not sure who said it, but he said, hell is other people. Not necessarily that hell is other people, right? However, the mirror of others shows us ourselves, the things that we do not like. Because by the end of this journey, it's not so much that hell is other people, but by the end, if we really go through what we are meant to see, other people simply become you. Other people become no more separation. So, I come to this class, I see everyone, but in a sense, I really see just a part of myself. And in a sense, I'm talking to myself. And that's love also. That's how you begin to understand other people too. We're all the same. We're just expressing in different forms and locations and appearances. So I want to do an experiment. The first, the first class is going to be, I think maybe a little funny. Um, we're going to do it every class, maybe for, I don't know, 5 to 10 minutes. But hopefully by class 8, it becomes quite deeper, quite more profound. So you can observe yourself through this, through the activity that we're going to do. You don't have to do it if you don't want to, but I would encourage you to. I'm sorry if some of you are on mobile, uh, because the text might be difficult to read, but I'm explaining everything anyway. So the activity will be everyone's going to go into small groups and everyone's going to have some time to speak. So let's see, how many do we have? We have 222, an interesting number. So let's say, let's do, okay, let's do 2 minutes for each person. Okay, that's 10 minutes. Already, some of you are maybe your mind is thinking, what shall I do? This is going to be awkward. I'm going to be shy. I want to talk about my emotional problems, etc., etc. Okay, do whatever you want. But the important thing here is to observe. Okay. Some guidelines for you. Okay. The purpose is to observe what moves within us when we speak, and also when we feel we are seen by others. So while speaking, you can observe, just these are just some examples, the urge to sound meaningful or impressive. Okay. Not that you don't have to be meaningful. Actually, usually during an activity like this, a person it usually becomes more meaningful, more profound, because the the urge to perform and the urge to put on a mask and the urge to act a certain way becomes more exposed. And you start to learn how to speak from the heart more. Okay. You might be able to observe the pressure to fill silence or avoid emptiness. If some of you have your 2 minutes and you want to not say anything truly from your heart, then do that. Let everyone stare into the screen for 2 minutes in silence and see how that feels. And it's an experiment and it's something different. Another thing you can observe, the movement to, or the desire or the feeling to control how others see you. The impulse to prepare what you're going to say next. There's no right or wrong. We're not saying anything is good or bad. We're simply observing. It doesn't matter what happens. If someone's very awkward, great. If someone is very philosophically deep, great. Just as great. There's no difference. Okay. So this exercise reveals our mask, our certain mask, or lack of mask. Who knows? Performance replaces presence almost instantly. So what happens? What does your mouth do? What do the voices, what does your voice say? How do you behave when presence is there instead of performance? So the need to be seen in a certain way can run very deep in us. So the point of this is nothing is required. And when nothing is required, what remains? So let me see the tool to put us into groups. Just one moment.
Hello.
Wait, are we each in the individual group now?
I don't
Yes,
know.
Yeah, I
yeah.
think so.
I
Hello.
swear.
Not yet.
Like
Hi,
we
everyone.
are a group.
Not yet, not yet.
Don't
Nice.
believe we are yet, guys.
1 minute, everyone. I'm glad you're all eager.
Big group.
Hello, hello.
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 It's nice meeting everyone.
Hello.
Hello,
Hi.
are we in the group?
Hello.
Hi.
I don't think we're in a group. I think this is still 222.
Okay, yeah, you're not in the group yet. It seems my Zoom has updated and I do not see the option for breakout rooms. I did see it earlier, but it's not here. Okay, it's not here. Is anyone very good with Zoom? I was debating whether to do this in the first meeting or not, so it's okay if we don't do it in this class, but maybe someone good. Oh, it's not in the settings. I did check. Uh, would anyone like to look? And you can be a co-host.
Nikolai has a hand up.
Okay. You want to try Nicola?
Looks like Ryan has also
Um,
shared some good information.
If you've got the more
Co-host Nicola.
three
If anyone
dots,
else would like to volunteer, just put your hand up. It's only supported up to 200 participants. Maybe that's why. Ryan knows. Ryan, if you want to put your hand up, I'll make you a co-host.
so Gene, do you have the more button with three dots?
Yes,
Because
I do.
in mine it says transfer to rooms when you click in that.
Yeah, this is for something else.
I think the group is too big. It's only up to 200 participants. I just looked it up.
Yes, okay. Well, as some of you said in the chat, it's something to observe our excitement, our eagerness, and our disappointment. So I will look into this for the next classes. I was thinking whether to do it in the first one because, as someone said, they think it's maybe talking randomly, but we'll try and drill this in for the next class, that it is trying to talk more from presence and to observe ourselves in it. Hopefully it goes well. Just maybe someone in each one can volunteer 2 minutes at a time. Anyway, this is the longest class in terms of slides and the presentation and some ideas. So let us continue. Okay, thank you, everyone. So let's continue. The sleep we call life. Hopefully some of you can observe the shock there. Everyone started to be suddenly awake because they're required to do something. And that's a level of engagement that we want, not just with other people, but in the inner work, and also in our interactions with people who are not in these spiritual teachings and understanding things. In the beginning of this work, being with others who are also on this path makes it easier to be present and to observe things in ourselves. Later on, it's actually more useful to interact with people who are not quote unquote spiritual, people who test us more. Okay, so let us continue. As we said, most of what we call living happens without our awareness. Our thoughts, emotions, words, and actions move within us. The important thing is, do we see everything that happens within us? You can observe some people when they speak, and this would have happened in the groups that we will do next time. Some people speak it's like the words leave their mouth before the mind processed anything. They just speak and speak. Some people think too much within the mind before the words come out. And for some people, barely any words can come out. There is some anxiety, some hesitation. And so these are the things we want to be able to see. So we have to start to dig a foundation for this work, a foundation of awareness. And it is good already to start thinking about longer meditation sessions. How long can you sit in stillness? How long can you observe the breath? How long can you breathe consciously? Because the mind has to be disciplined in a way that it is relaxed from moment to moment. So the word discipline sounds like it is something hard, something harsh, something strict, but it is to relax the mind. Because if it is relaxed, if it is present, if it is aware, then we'll be able to observe the fast movements in ourselves before they occur. We'll be able to see and feel anger rising before it manifests outwardly. We'll be able to sense our emotions, reactions, and maybe negative things we want to say or think or do before they happen. And many of those things happen because of life, the external life, because our awareness is not lodged internally first, as it should be. So there's a certain inversion or undoing an inversion that we would like to accomplish in this course. Because right now we can say our awareness is inverted and it's not natural. It should be that our awareness is lodged first and primarily internally. And that the sovereign ruling factor of how we live, of how we understand life, of how we understand the divine, should first be internal. The problem is 99% of humanity has the awareness lodged in the external. All our hopes, our dreams, all of our personal power is given to the external. The awareness, the fascination, the beliefs, the doubts, the fears, the worries, the dreams, the ambitions are all in the external. This is not natural. This is inversion. So we want to undo that. And the more we become aware of that, the more we do all of this work, we start to put the awareness internal, within ourselves first. So we don't want to be any more like a leaf carried along a river, moving from one moment to the next without knowing or understanding why. But we want to awaken the leaf. Can we move the leaf upstream rather than and against the current, rather than just being swept away by all of the dramas, all of the emotions, all of the thoughts, without seeing them and without understanding? And so there's two ways of life, we can say. As I said, there is the way to be lodged in the external world, and there's a way to be grounded internally. And the life of habit, the outward life, the external life, is mechanical. And we also call this the horizontal life. It has a beginning and an end. And it mostly acts like a robot because it's based on repetition. It's based on the same things, on the lived patterns, on the beliefs. It reacts the same way, all of the same psychological patterns according to the conditions and the conditioning from upbringing, from religion, even from spiritual understandings that we've assigned to. The other way is internal. It's nothing to do with our birth, nothing to do with our death. It is to do with something eternal within us. It's something to do with who we really are, to do with our true nature, not the name that we call ourselves, not the ideas that we have, but something alive, something that burns like a flame, and something that is alive from moment to moment, from life to life, from whatever idea that we have, from whatever school or tradition or teacher that we follow. There's a fire that is alive and it is yours. It's nobody else's. Nobody else can understand it. Nobody else can tell you where it is or what it is. You have to find it yourself. And we can tend to it, as I said at the beginning, we can tend to it like a tree that grows upwards towards divinity, towards the cosmos. Okay? And it helps us to see because it is a light to fire, to be present, to no longer be carried by the mechanical ways of life. So we don't need a new life and we don't need a new belief. We need a new way of living and a new way of understanding. So these two forces inhabit us. Each moment, these two forces shape our life. There is the fire of conditioning, which burns away the essence, burns away the consciousness. So the mechanical way, it pulls us towards pleasure and possessions. Not that there's anything wrong with those things, but if we lose ourselves in them, then this is working against us. Fear, anger, a lack of inner silence, continuing to have reactions without understanding them. I would not say that reactions are bad in themselves, but reactions without understanding and observing is what works against our awakening. Okay. So there's many names for the vertical line. There's many names for the way of awakening, the Tao, the Absolute. We also can call it God, the essence, spirit, the divine spark. And from there comes harmony, comes love, compassion, understanding oneself, becoming liberated from our own mind, having a purity of our own being and experiencing it. Of course, many of you, and I recognize a lot of you from previous courses, we've already studied all of these things. The ego, yes, we know that we need to have inner silence. We know that we need to have peace. We know that we need to observe our reactions. But we have to understand, we have to observe our understanding of these things, because these are all concepts still. I've observed many people that they will argue very passionately against someone else and say, you know, your God is not the right one, or you know, people say, my being said this, etc. But you know, these are concepts and these are words. The important thing is, do we really know and understand what these words point to? Have we really experienced them as a living reality? It's all good to be enthusiastic about these things. There's millions of people that are enthusiastic about God, enthusiastic about essence, spirit, to be liberated. But there's very, very few who know it and live it as their direct experience day to day. That's far more significant than simply subscribing to these nice ideas. So in each moment, our lives, in a sense, becomes a battlefield, a certain battlefield of the spirit, because it is a choice that we have to make every day and throughout every moment. It is a constant remembering and awareness, attention. It's a constant call to attention. And in each moment, there's two things that are possible. Each moment, it's possible to be conditioned more by our impulses, to seek comfort, to seek distractions. And it's also possible to become more aware and to seek understanding, which leads to peace and leads to inner clarity and harmony. So we always have to ask ourselves, which path are we walking? And I want to absolutely destroy all of the psychological emotions to do with guilt or not feeling like we're doing enough on the path. Because the things that I'm saying can easily be unconsciously interpreted in a way that we feel guilty for not meditating enough, feel guilty for becoming more conditioned, more egoic. As I said in the beginning, by the end of this course, I want each and every one of you to have developed something very specific, which is a light that is able to be there, unmoved, unidentified, even during the most unconscious moments. Because if we're honest, and what I've observed in myself and also in others, the biggest obstacles on this path are the very deep ones. Both men and women struggle with anger. Both men and women struggle with lust. Yes. It's not that we have to necessarily fight these things, but we have to develop a stable center that observes ourselves even during the most difficult moments. Something eternal and still that is able to watch even during our most unconscious moments. Because if it's able to just be there, then you're learning, you're progressing. It's just so easy for the mind during our most darkest moments to suddenly identify with pain, identify with guilt, identify with pleasure, identify with making another story out of it. Oh, I've been on this spiritual path so long, and now I fell because I did something sinful, right? That's just another voice that's speaking. The important thing is there an awareness watching? Is there something still that is observing, that is learning? So life happens, the good and the bad, and something can see it. Thoughts appear, emotions, reactions, and life just simply unfolds. But most of the time, we're absorbed by them. We're consumed by them. Whatever you want to call it, thoughts, darkness, unconsciousness, ego, consumes us, devours us, simply because we're not watching. And it doesn't have to be that way. It can be, actually, the path can be very liberating in this sense. Because we can all ask ourselves now, we could continue ourselves the way we are and keep falling into the same unconscious cycles and try different methods and techniques to try and fix ourselves and go through the same pattern of success and failure. Or we could develop our awareness in a way that really is able to observe and be present and be happy even during the darkest moments. I tell you, this can be developed, and this is what this course is all about. To be able to, even during the darkest moments, whatever moments, even mundane, bored, daydreaming, angry, fantasizing, there's something that is always observing. There's nothing to do, only just to observe. Something that's not identified. And just keeps observing. And in that observation, you'll learn, you'll change, you'll grow. So, there is what is happening in this life, and can we see it at the same time? That's all. That's all that's required. It's such a simple thing. It's just that many people cannot see it at the same time. They start to think, okay, they can't see it. So they start to think, okay, I'm so identified with this problem. I cannot progress spiritually. Let me think of an email I can send Jean, and I'm going to read a very long life story. And I'm watching the email, I'm reading it, and I can see that this person is so absorbed in the story. When just in an instant, it could be possible for this person to write the email and say, wait, it's just a story. It has no power over me. Okay, so there's a symbol here. This is the swastika, not the swastika of Hitler, because Hitler is inverted it. But this is the Buddhist cross. And as we talked about before, there is the horizontal line and there is the vertical line. And when this cross is in movement, when our being, our spirit, our essence is aligned perfectly with our outer life in harmony, without resistance, it starts to spin. And usually you'll see this in many parts of the East, you'll see this symbol on the heart of the Buddha. That it's portraying an active consciousness, active awareness, with perfect harmony, perfect moment-to-moment awareness and presence. That's the symbol of what we want to achieve in this course, to mix our awareness with our day-to-day life. So what is the first movement of awakening? The first movement of awareness, the first movement of presence. How does it feel? How do we get this to become active in our life, in our heart, not just part of our mind and part of our belief? It's one thing to say, okay, I'm going to do what Jean said and I'm going to be observing. If your mind has already planned that, it's like you've already failed. There should already, I hope, there is already something in you that is observing and not just planning it. You see, it's that simple. It's already there. It already has been there. It doesn't need to be formed. It doesn't need to be created. It's already there. And what's required is not so much ambition, spiritual ambition, or motivation, but that often it just begins with sincerity. It just begins with honesty. And then when you allow this awareness to start to illuminate, when this awareness starts to shine on thoughts, on the internal world, on the emotions, reactions, then we start to stop being identified with it naturally. In a sense, there is no effort. Or in Taoist teachings in the East, we call this effortless effort. There is a certain effort on the path to achieving this, because you have to remember, right? But it's not an effort like, okay, I'm going to make myself very aware. I'm going to be very present and self-observed. No, you're not moving forward. You're taking a step back. You simply allow your natural awareness to be and shine and to see. Because if you relax in those moments of reaction, actually, you stop identifying with it. You realize it's not you. It might still be alive, whatever unconsciousness is there, but the fact that it's not invisible anymore, it starts to lose authority over your life. You become more present, more whole as a person, and more connected to who you really are. So as it says here, what is hidden grows stronger. And what is honestly seen begins to lose its authority over your life. So it's important to see ourselves clearly, not justify, also not condemn, but just remain present with what is there, always, full acceptance. We can say this is a form of love, because you're simply allowing yourself to be there fully, without changing anything. If a child has a parent who always wants to change the child doesn't feel loved, right? And in the same way, our inner being, our true nature, accepts us really for who we are, because it has to. Because that's how it becomes aware, that's how we become aware of ourselves. So this is moving now into a practice, a very simple practice. And it's called the fact of being here. Now I see questions in the chat, and I see faces, thinking different things. And how much, try to observe how much are you here right now? You know, um, a lot of people yearn for advanced practices, for very high states. I want to experience samadhi. I want to have these extremely beautiful astral projection experiences. I want to awaken the Kundalini, practice white tantra with a partner and become enlightened. This is it's all good. It's fine. But it's still a movement of the mind. The important thing is to remain with the work and remain with observing ourselves and staying sincere and honest. So people yearn for these advanced practices, advanced states of being, yet can we claim to aspire highly when we don't work on being present? Because that's a whole foundation. If we want to build a very big tower that reaches many galaxies, that tower will need a very big foundation. And that foundation is built not just internally and doing strange practices separate from life, but it's built with your families. It's built with your friendships. It's built in the day-to-day life. The reality is God, the being, life, the universe, gives each and every one of us the perfect circumstances and relationships to become masters of ourselves. But that's very hard to see because everyone now is thinking, how could all of my silly family and friends and my workplace and all of that be the best spiritual training ground? But I tell you, it is. It really is. By the very fact that you think that, it is. It's the best place. So we claim to seek the stars, yet without solid ground underfoot, how far can we go? Yes, Sajid, I will share all the slides. So very simple practice, which is simply being here. There is a handout after the class and also some reading that you can do. The practice is simply being here. I know a lot of you have had a lot of advanced practices and things like this. But just by what I said in the past 30 minutes, I hope you understand that the importance of bringing simplicity to the practice. So this is the practice. Being aware of your inner state, what's going on inside, also being aware of what's outside. But I don't want to, it's not complicated because actually, just simply by being here where you are, you should naturally become aware of what's going on inside and what's going on outside. But it's still a practice. It's still something you have to remember because let's say you're going for a walk in the park and suddenly you remember the practice. Now I start to become aware of my thought patterns, of the stress that I've had all day, of the things that I've been thinking about. So the practice is feel the life within, feel the world around, and feel the presence of being here and now. You can do this now, wherever you are. Try to become aware of a sound that you weren't aware of before in the room. I suddenly became aware of my fridge. It has a very subtle sound I can hear behind me. just in that moment when you're listening, mind stopped. Become aware of how your body feels. Is there ache, pain, energy? When you give attention, mind stops. In those 3 seconds that you paid attention, mind stops. Now, the work is, can you extend those 3 seconds to 30 seconds? Because I tell you, someone who can do it really for 30 seconds is advancing much more than they think. Because most people cannot direct the attention for more than 5 or 10 seconds. Just takes practice every day, consistent. Something will start to grow. It's a fire that we need to tend to. Just like we brush our teeth every day. It's very important to tend to the awareness within us. In the beginning, there'll be lots of thoughts. The key is not to mind. If any of you have ever heard of Jiddu Krishnamurti, a great teacher, I recommend this. He would be a very good complementary material to listen to. Jiddu Krishnamurti, while attending this course. But someone once asked him, what's your secret to just being like so awake and so aware? And he said his secret was, I don't mind. I just don't mind. Usually the mind has a lot of opinions or a lot of its own preferences. Thank you, yes. Jiddu Krishnamurti. So not drifting in thoughts or grasping to things, just clear and awake to this moment. And observe life flowing in, life flowing out. Things come, things go. And when you do this properly, it's like the cross that we talked about, where everything meets in the middle. And there's a certain stillness of direct experience. And this is really meditation, giving attention. The thing is, how deep can you dig your foundation? Because 5 minutes a day, how deep can someone dig a hole for 5 minutes? You can dig a pretty decent hole for 5 minutes, right? Imagine 30 minutes or 1 hour. There's a certain force and fire that can be developed. Is it possible to multitask with this awareness? Absolutely. This is the absolute purpose or what I'm trying to express. That it's absolutely possible to have this awareness alive, even when you're very busy, even when you have many things going on, even when the person you're inhabiting, this person, the name that you call yourself, is very stressed and very angry and all over the place. I tell you, there's still something very still within you that can be watching and observing. I've had this experience many times. I've been stressed, doing many things, like moving house. I have my family, my wife, my child, other family members. I have to tell them what to do and etc., etc. I have many things to think about. And my person is like a stress. You can feel the stress, it's there. But during some moments, there's a little smile on my face that no one else sees. Because there's a light just watching. Something that's not identified with it. Because I know that none of this is me. It's just a temporary wave on the surface of the ocean. All the reactions, all the problems, all the busyness, just ripples and waves on the surface of the ocean. We are not the waves and the ripples. We are the entire ocean and the depths of it. So let us have a meditation. Probably the Q&A will run a bit longer than the other sessions. Let us have a meditation. You may turn your cameras off if you wish. Let us focus our attention inward. Try to put away distractions, phones on silent, and prepare the body to be still. Stretch, move, itch, whatever you need to do, because it's much better that when we're digging a foundation for our awareness, to have the physical body completely still. So choose a position, much better if you are sitting up, not lying down. Let the spine be straight, vertical. Much better if you're not leaning back on a chair. Let the attention be vibrant, alive. Let the spine hold you, but without being tense. It doesn't matter if you slouch a little bit. Find a comfortable position and take a few deep breaths. Full deep breaths into the stomach. The stomach should expand first, the chest expand. Exhale. This a few times. Inhale the life force, the energy, the oxygen. You can hold it for some moments as long as you like. And exhale. Fully relaxing ourselves, letting go of tension, of problems, letting go of the good thoughts and also the bad thoughts. Let's allow what we just spoke about to settle into the body, moving away from the mind. You can have your eyes closed, but if you feel your awareness drifting off to other realities, fantasies, then you can meditate with your eyes half open. So that you're grounded here and now. Let the body soften, the face, the jaw, the shoulders. Let the hands rest. Let the chest open. Nothing to do. Nothing to achieve. Just allow the body to arrive as it is. Let the breath be natural. Don't change it. Just notice it. As it already is. There's a certain aliveness to the breath. Gently, now, bring attention inward. Feel the body from within. Feel the weight of it. The hands, the feet, chest rising and falling. Body is alive. It can be very beautiful to witness. It's breathing on its own without any of your effort. What a gift to have this body keeping us alive in this life. This aliveness was already here. Now, without losing the sense of this beautiful body that we have, let attention also include outside. The air in the room, any sounds near or far, let them simply be heard. Same way that the body is here and breathes without your effort, the world is here without your effort. Sense what it feels like to hold the attention in the body and also in the world. . This is called being here. Not a thought about being here, just the simple, quiet fact of being here. If attention wanders, simply notice and return to being here. Or only being where you already are. If the awareness wanders away, just like a ripple on a lake, you simply have to return and let the water settle on its own. After a while, the lake becomes perfectly still. Mind and life, the awareness begins to reflect perfectly. Remember this ability to be aware inside and aware of the world at the same time. Let us stay here for a few more breaths. And in your own time, bring very small movements back. Fingers, toes. Let the body return, but with awareness still present. Slowly opening the eyes when you're ready. Looking around your room as if it's the first time you're seeing it. Keeping the quality of awareness from meditation, even now, as you continue. Stay here. Don't rush back into the mind. I will continue the slides. You can do this simple practice, which is just called being here. It's very simple. The mind doesn't like it because the mind doesn't like too simple. But the more simple, the bigger of a foundation that can be harnessed if done properly. As it says, you can just simply return gently whenever you're lost, whenever you're not quite present. So that's based on the week of practice that you'll see in the handout. The class is just a doorway to the practice. Walking it is what happens this week. Try at least 3 times a day. Try to remember. You can even set a reminder on your phone to simply return inside, outside, here. You can choose a daily activity, maybe going for a walk, washing plates, clothes. When you're having a meal of the day, do it with this kind of attention, aware of inside and aware of the world. David said he likes the practice. Tiredness goes away and still feel good. That's a very good sign, because this simplicity actually opens up your natural vitality, and it can energize you because it forces the mind to relax and stop draining energy. It should be invigorating. It should feel energizing, just as David said in the chat. It should bring clarity. And this can be done, as it says here. Observe a reaction without justifying or condemning it. As I said in my example of my own experience, I can be very stressed, busy, but in the midst of it, because of what I practiced, I can simply return just to being here, being at home within myself. This can be done at night also. Even during the middle of the night, it would make your dreams quite interesting. You can also do it when you wake up. It's a good idea to start the day like that, you can notice that if you start the day without any awareness internally, too many things move, which makes for a busy day. Let's put it like that. So some questions you can sit with at the end of the day. What captured my attention most strongly today? Was there one real moment of presence today? And what did it feel like? And which recurring reaction is asking to be seen? There's something in all of us. Or not just a reaction, but something that captures our attention. Part of our work, our inner work. Some people ask, how do I know what to work on? What things to improve about myself? This is exactly how you see it. Be present during the day, just like this, in a very simple way. It will become obvious about what things distract you, what things are draining, sucking, absorbing your attention. It will become very obvious. So as it says at the bottom, a small amount of this work is worth more than great enthusiasm about it. Yes. I said this earlier in the class. The more all of the enthusiasm you have about spirituality, about all the topics, it's nothing compared to doing this work just a little bit. I don't want to call it work. It makes it sound tiring. But remembering, sitting, being, building and digging the foundation. So I will end this with a small poem and we'll have a Q&A. The one who says, I am awake, has just spoken in his sleep. A thought rises, we become it. A wound moves, we obey it. This too is called living. Do not chase the wave. Do not silence the mind. Do not silence the wind. The lake settles when no one disturbs it. And the moon returns on its own. The body is here. The world is here. So I did see the comment about there's less than 200 people, but actually, I still don't have the option. Very strange. Yes. Yes, Phil, I will check it out. I'll fix it. Okay. So let's move on to some questions. We will have our breakout groups in the next classes. So feel free to raise your hand in the voice chat. If I see your comments in the text chat, I will try to answer it. Yes, I will send the slides and a couple of PDFs in the WhatsApp group after. Okay, Sajida, you have a question?
Hi, Jean. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, hope you're good. I've got a couple of questions that came up for me. It's like everything you're saying, it all makes sense, but I guess I've got like these voices inside of me, and I feel like maybe I don't know if it's my own not knowing or if somebody was in the situation, like my clients, what would I do and say? So yeah, the question is, you were saying like this practice, it's about being present, noticing and going within and experiencing and witnessing what we're noticing within us, and then we're doing that in terms of the external world, so inner and internal. What if somebody's got trauma and they've got a lot of emotional stuff and they are dissociated because they struggle to be, the soul struggles to be in their body and be experiencing what they experience, and the anxiety and all that's within them. And then what if they are empathic and the external world's suffering and experiences impacts them? So would you say being present for somebody like that can be quite harmful?
If we're going to say, I would say, in the end, there's many things I could say, but in the end, ignorance still fuels ignorance. And ignorance is still the most harmful thing. Whatever soul, and in a sense, we're all traumatized to a certain degree, but I understand what you're saying. Still the best thing that anyone can do, because a person like that you're talking about, and the person who goes to these doctors and goes through treatments, still the very best and most powerful healing that that person can go through is attention itself. First, that comes from people external because they need support, but the best thing is attention and is awareness, even if it's painful, and it is often painful. It's painful for anyone to become aware, but yes. So, we're not saying, let's not confuse being present with a state, because we're not looking for a state. We're not looking for a particular state. Presence does not mean feeling very good and feeling very peaceful and feeling very alive. That does not that doesn't mean presence. Presence means seeing and accepting whatever is there. And if that's allowed, if that is achieved, then yes, often healing, more energy does occur. However, it's a very important distinction that presence is not looking for a particular state. Presence is accepting and seeing whatever is there. And sometimes it's not like a person needs to go to a group like this in order to experience that. For us who are more spiritually cultured, then it's good for us, right? But for someone like that, sometimes a genuine hug can help them to become present, because a hug can, maybe the person can cry during it or something and release something, you see. So for that kind of person, usually there needs to be more support during that process. But yes, presence is accepting and being with whatever is there, because often for a person like that who has trauma, or however you say it, is simply resisting it in some way. Yes.
Yeah, and when you were saying that, what came into my mind was, I guess the being isn't gonna bring up something in their awareness if they're not really ready to notice it, I guess. So I guess like a lot of the things that, well, one of the things that you hear people say in therapy and that kind of body work is that, oh well, you can get re-traumatized by, you know, bringing up stuff that you're not ready. And I guess this is what was coming up for me in this work as well. But while you were talking, what came to me, and it could be my being, but it came to me that the person's being isn't going to reveal something they're not ready to notice, I guess. So they're not going to be present with something that's going to be overwhelming. I guess, yeah.
Yeah, you know, you said that they could be re-traumatized, but at least in my understanding, they never got de-traumatized because it's still there living inside them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the second question links with that. The second question was, you know, you said something about the being is always there, and you gave your example of, you know, being busy and stressed and things, and the being can be smiling, knowing that this is none of this, like you were saying about not identifying. And I guess the question came up for me, still related to this, is like, what if, again, somebody's being harmed, abused, let's say even like sexually abused, and then they'll be like, well, what do you mean I don't identify? That did happen to me. What do you do? How do you respond to that then? And this could be us, right? This could be somebody in this call that it might have come up, or again, you know, if it is my client, me saying being present and, or, you know, just and connecting them to the soul. Well, you know, how do we get them to experience rape and things like that and say, oh well, you know what, it's just a story, it's not you, it's not the being.
Yeah. So it's an important distinction to make that when we say don't identify with it, we're not saying that it didn't happen or it's not real. But we're saying that we're trying to hint towards become aware of the tension and the contraction of the body that is perpetuating from the experience that keeps being lived. In a sense, it's more true than ever in a case like that, because it's like a person who has gone through rape is still going through it from moment to moment because it's still living in them. What we want to do is, in a case like that, to direct the person to helping them feel that they are safe now and that they are comfortable and that the experience hasn't happened anymore. To help guide that person to and say something like, is that experience happening now? Is it happening anymore? And if they can, if somehow in a situation that is facilitating this kind of healing, then can that person honestly see that? And then they might be able to realize or see that it's their own mind and their own heart and their own pain still perpetuating the response. There's a physiological response that's happening. And so when we say don't identify, maybe you can change the wording to something else, which would be more like, can you see how it's still replaying in the mind? And do you have the courage to let it go? Yeah. So yes, I'm not sure if you're still here. I think you.
Yeah, I'm listening.
Okay.
I appreciate what you're saying. Yeah, I guess what you're saying is it's being present and actually not reliving the past of the trauma as well. So
And accepting it fully, you know, as I said in your first question, sometimes that kind of person just needs a big hug and to help let it go. But yeah.
yeah, all right. Great. Thanks, Jean.
Okay. Justin, you have a question?
Yes. Hello, can I be heard, please?
Yes.
All right, thank you. My question is more directed towards the practices that we just engaged in. And whilst you asked us to meditate, if I should call it meditation, we like when I decided to close my eyes during the practice, but all of a sudden I started to have visions, little pictures, right? And one of what I saw, especially when you asked us to go inside or observe the inside of our bodies, was a vision of a tree that I saw. And suddenly in my mind, what let's say the voice in my head was telling me is that this is the tree that Buddha sat under to gain enlightenment. It was a very, very quick, picture and a very quick response from the voice in my head. The second thing that I observed that happened was that when you asked us to try and hear sounds that's outside of us, or notice a sound that is always maybe in nature, all of a sudden my mind projects outside of my room to a place that's closer to the vicinity and where I live, and another vision pops up and I see you greeting, I think, monks or some sort, people who look like monks, right? And it was a very quick vision. I just want to know if this is normal, and I want to understand what's happening as I am engaging in this practice.
Yeah. Yes, it's normal. Normal when also we go quite deep and we're quite inspired, especially if we have a very active imagination. We can say imagination in the best use is things like that, inspiration, and we're very inspired. It's a nice contrast to Sajada's question previously, which is the imagination used to constrict and limit. In both cases, we have to fully accept gracefully each one, because in both cases, with the danger is in latching on to that imagination or what appears. So it was, how long did we meditate? Like 15 minutes? It wasn't long. It wasn't long, at least in terms of like your first vision of like the Buddha, right? Who would meditate for hours a day.
Right.
So simply whatever comes up, whether it's thoughts, emotions, inspiring visions, simply stay with the practice. That's the important thing.
Okay.
Because the danger is in still following the mind, even when it's we have a very beautiful and inspiring thing happening. Just don't do anything about it. Don't resist it. Don't justify it. Don't uphold it. It's a vision passing, and let it be as it is. Simply stay with the meditation. We could say that in the example in the meditation, that the lake, there's ripples on the lake when we get distracted, right? Maybe in your case, the danger sometimes for developing a deep and concentrated foundational mind is in the lake not having ripples or waves, but moving very magically, because maybe you're quite an inspired, visionary type kind of person. I don't know. But in any case, it is what it is, just like dreams. But continue, maybe it has meaning for you, I don't know, but continue to stay in the meditation. And the longer you do, you can get to a point where you can intuitively interpret and understand those visions because they can become more frequent. But I would say when the foundation of silence and stillness is so deep, really true images can appear from the depths of the ocean, so to speak. And at the same time, you'll be able to understand it directly and intuitively in a way that you won't have to ask an external teacher. Yes, it's a bit like dreams in a sense, but dreaming awake. Meditation is also called conscious sleep. It's in a sense, when it's cultivated properly, it is quite like lucid dreaming. You're awake
Right.
and you're looking into the subconscious.
One more question before I go away. So what would you call the voice that is kind of responding to the vision? As in, it's not like I even did ask myself a question of what I was seeing, but immediately a voice tries to explain what I was seeing or what I am seeing.
I would say that is just simply observe any more voices, right?
Okay.
Yes, the first two questions in the Q&As, there's still many voices. And that's okay, right? As I said, presence is not a state. Presence is accepting whatever is there. And as I also said in class, often in the beginning when we start these very deeply committed, simple meditation practices, we become aware of so many voices, so much noise. And the important thing is simply to stay still and observe all of it and not let yourself be swept away and absorbed by them. Yeah.
Okay. And this just takes practice, right? Just more practice not to be carried away by the sounds or the visions of whatever is arising.
Yes, if you can do it, like starting 10, 15, 20 minutes a day, there's already something building. If you can do it 30 minutes a day, twice a day, you'll absolutely start to feel this silent fire and light of awareness grow in you. It can be very quick if done well. But in the beginning, we're going to see a lot of voices and a lot of movements. We just have to have a bit of faith that whatever work you're doing, the longer you sit with the darkness, the longer you sit with all of the voices around you, the more that they will settle. Often in the beginning can be the most difficult.
Okay. Oh, thank you so much, Gene.
Okay. Theo.
Hi, Gene. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you for the class, Gene. So my question is related to your latest video about how often on the spiritual path, when we encounter these fantastic teachings, we're chasing for a lot of diamonds, when instead what we really need is the foundation, the mangoes, which nourish us. And a lot of the times we think that these organizations can give us these diamonds and it keeps us trapped in this bubble, as you alluded to. So I want to know, what is the purpose then of an authentic spiritual group or school that truly wants their students to awaken and doesn't want to add extra ideas, change the teachings, and simply keep people in a system?
Yeah, well, I think the purpose of an authentic spiritual group is to remain authentic, right? And is to stay loyal to that. And if a group truly does do that, then it doesn't look so much like a diamond anymore, but it really does have fruits. And so, as I said in the video, it's not so much that organizations in themselves are wrong or schools are wrong. I have my own school too, and I do my best to try to keep it with fruits rather than diamonds. And every place can do that to the best of their ability. But unfortunately, it is quite common in the world today that there are systems, structures, and people follow them. And it's natural that whenever a church or a movement or a school, a religion is born, it's usually born from pure fruit, no diamond. Because the person who founded it was just a huge mango, right? It was a huge fruit that's sharing all of its wisdom and nourishment to everyone. And of course, at some point, the person leaves the world, and there's all that's left is still minds that want to perpetuate the message. But of course, it turns into rules, turns into systems, turns into structures and forms. And so the inner life, the inner vitality of it begins to fade. And that's a natural byproduct of the mind. But yes, the purpose here is, or the purpose of any, or the responsibility of any school is to stay alive. And we can all apply that to ourselves, not just schools and organizations and pointing fingers at them, but we all have that same responsibility to tend to this fire, tend to this light within us, to make sure that we're nourishing ourselves every day with very, very simple practices. Wake up, breathe, feel the heart, be human, right? And when we live from that, everyone around us is going to benefit in a very human, kind, and loving way. And if everyone woke up tomorrow and lived that way, we would achieve world peace instantly, you know, but that's not the case. So yeah. Mhm. Okay. Charles, you have a question? Not sure if your microphone is working, Charles. No, it's not working. I will let, is it Hind or Hind talk while you fix your microphone?
Yes, it's Hind. Hi,
Okay.
Jean. Um, during the meditation session, I did feel a great sense of stillness, but I also observed, whilst trying to meditate, that my heart was beating fast, and I also felt like a sense of heaviness in my chest. Now, part of me was kind of like trying to fix that by saying my mind, this is not what I actually am, and just trying to shift the observation to other parts of my body. But I also couldn't help but keep noticing it again and again, the heaviness on my chest. And I don't know, also kind of brought in a little bit of fear at the same time. So I'm just wondering, when you're meditating and you notice this, you feel like your heart is pumping fast, or you feel a certain heaviness, especially with the breathing bits, because I tend to fall into the mechanical bit where I breathe really hard. Doesn't really work. But yeah, I just wanted to know your take on that. I'm pretty sure we shouldn't be resisting. I guess that's the whole point. It's just ride the wave. So yes, thank you.
Do you feel that the kind of chaoticness or a kind of anxiety, if there's something causing it, maybe, or
Um,
you think it's just a
I
very
yes.
random?
No, actually, yes. When you were saying the whole group thing that we were gonna do where we talk, I kind of became anxious since that point on, and I observed that, and it came and went away in waves. And even during the meditation, it did go away, the sense of heaviness. But yeah, when it comes back heavy. So yeah,
Mm.
that's I don't know
Yeah,
if there's a
this definitely feels like a deeper rooted cause somewhere. Maybe
Hmm.
somewhere along the childhood or growing up, social things, something like that. We don't have to pinpoint, but it's for you to reflect on, right? Something there.
All right.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, forgetting the psychological causes for you to observe. Yeah, if you're in meditation, just observe. If there is a lot of energy coming up, some like that, if you're able to observe the body comfortably, not try to do anything because you observe the the kind of stress on the heart, I guess you could say, and then you try to do something about it and convince yourself of this, of that. That's already the mind movement adding, it's already adding waves on top of waves, right? Ripples on top of ripples, trying to fix a wave by pushing another wave, right? So that's
Mhm.
already fighting. That's already a conflict. That's already a, uh, a division in right? There's a conflict there. So it's okay, some fighting and some conflict if you're able to observe both waves crashing at each other, right? But sometimes it's good to, yeah, take it slow, take baby steps. If it happens again, try to breathe with the body and maybe take things slower. Go for walks in between meditations. Probably, it sounds like something would come up eventually, maybe some understanding. If you're able to go very still, maybe by yourself without a group setting, then probably maybe like someone else saw, a vision might come to mind, some understanding of some situation of why there is some maybe underlying anxiety or something there. I don't know.
Okay.
But this is what
All right.
this is what it's all for, right? No, we're not trying, like I said before, we're not trying to get to a particular state of just pure stillness, but that we're trying to cultivate this strong center that sticks in the middle and is able to observe all the crashing waves. And during that, at some point, spontaneously, we'll understand why. And when we understand, then there's no more crashing waves. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, Charles, you have a question? Are you there, Charles? Oh, okay, still fixing the mic. Okay. And before I go into the next person, trust your intuition, because during those moments, uh, the intuition speaks very loudly. We're able to, not by thinking about it, but just searching our feelings. As I said, sincerity and honesty goes a long way. It's something that can be felt in the heart. Is this the cause? That's why. Okay, Amber, you have a question?
Yeah, hi. Thank you. That was a really nice meditation. You could have told me we were meditating for an hour and I would have believed you. And that's part of my
Yeah.
question because I really I tried with my eyes half open because I kept really feeling myself going too far into something. And when the meditation was done, you had mentioned that I think someone commented like, wow, I feel energized. And I felt the opposite. So what does that mean?
Mhm. Yeah, as I said, it can be two ways. Usually, I would say the people who feel energized have probably been working on things a lot, or maybe already practicing a lot of meditation. So
Yeah,
when we
I do.
haven't been doing meditation like this for a while, then yes, in the beginning, it's like imagine that you abandoned your home a while ago, and then you suddenly come back home, and a lot of like homeless people have moved in. It's exactly like that. And I've actually had experiences like that in the internal that showed me it's just like that. you come back home and everyone's having a party, it's a mess, there's chaos, you have to clean up, people are arguing, and there's all sorts of things happening, happy things, sad things, crimes being committed. So once you're actually there, once the owner is home, then suddenly the things inside start to become self-conscious. They start to move out, say, oh, the owner's here, we've got to move. But there's still a residue, even if after all the things move out, right? So a lot of noise in the beginning is normal. Maybe there's no electricity in the house. You have to shine a torch and go through every room, you know? So it's normal. And again, the fallacy or the what is it? How to say? The trap that we could fall into is thinking that we have to do a lot in order to keep it. We have to do more in order to stop all of this noise. But actually, just stay with the meditation. Stay with centering yourself. Stay with the breath. Stay with being present. And the longer you can do that, the longer you can be that, should I say, the more that the voices will gradually settle day by day. It's a very gradual process. If we can remain consistent in it, it's the best thing. If we can go a day without forgetting it, you'll see that it all transitions from all of the voices to more stillness, more energy. Because it's those voices itself which are draining the vitality from us. But once the voices have settled, then there's a natural reservoir that starts to build up. We actually see this towards the later part of the course. We start to explore this more in terms of energy. And that's why, and how we can get more energy from these simple practices. But yeah, that's essentially why.
Thank you.
B. Charles is still fixing, so I will move on to Meg.
Hello. So, something that came up for me when you mentioned guilt, and I kind of coincided that with shame. And actually, when I heard Sajid, and I apologize if that is the incorrect pronunciation, but when I heard her speak, that did bring up some things for me as well. Because I've been through some horrible things at the hand of man. And I guess when I was in my 20s and before all the trauma happened and the abuse and the horrible things that happened to me, I was making leaps and bounds in my spiritual practices. And while I think I've let go of those achievements or whatever you want to call them, I am approaching this with a beginner's mind. There is a sense of shame and guilt of you wasted, about a decade of I was in survival mode. I was in fear mode. And I, as I'm asking this, I am realizing things are coming up like, okay, well, if Gene tells me I can let go of that shame and guilt, and that's the ego, right? If he tells me I can let go of that shame and guilt of falling off the path, then I have validation to let go of that. But I guess what I'm asking is, I don't really know what my question is, but it's around that shame and guilt, and I know that I do need to let go of that. So there we go.
Okay, yeah, well, congratulations that you, came to that conclusion. And, sorry that you went through those things. But at the same time, you do have the power, right? You do have the power to not necessarily let go. And because I think it's saying just to let go, or as Sajida said, right? Saying just to not identify, it doesn't do the essence. It doesn't do our own soul justice, because it should have a certain feeling, or a feeling of liberation or enlightenment, I would say it feels. The deeper the pain, the deeper the suffering, the higher the enlightenment can be. So some things, yes, do take longer, I would say, to heal from. But I would say once it's healed, the more you come out learning something valuable. So I would say rather than letting go, it's more just still, I would say it's still sitting with it. Because there's a tendency also for the mind to be like, I just want to let this go, right? I got validation from someone that I respect and I'm learning from, and I could really let go. But sometimes we also don't want to fool ourselves at the same time, right? And so that's this whole process. This is the work, not necessarily letting go, not necessarily accepting, but sitting with it, inviting it to be with us. Because there's a paradox. The more that we see it, the more that we see that it's not us. It's not our true nature. It's still something that is that we can learn from and that we can sit with. And eventually, it will go in its own. Yes.
Thank you.
I did see a question here in the chat. How do we leave regret behind? I always feel it weighing on my chest, lingering my thoughts into the past and worried about it affecting my frequency. It's a cycle. As I know, lingering on thoughts cause all of this. Yeah, it's quite similar to the questions that we've had already. And I hope you can see how the practice can really help in terms of simply observing it. Because in the question already, we're saying, how do I leave it behind? And it's just how I spoke to Meg about her particular path in terms of the practice. It is great to try to leave behind, right? But there is a magic of not doing anything. There's a certain miracle in accepting. Another great teacher, because we spoke about Jiddu Krishnamurti, another great teacher you probably have heard of is Eckhart Tolle. I've always loved his quote, which when he said, what you accept, you go beyond. And that's a miracle. So it's not necessarily walking away or running away from anything, but simply sitting and being with it. It's really easy to run away from something. Much, much harder, but much more healing to sit with it. Because the longer you sit with, it's like imagine you're in the astral and you see this part of you which is in regret or which is in pain. The more that you sit with it and talk to it from your essence, you see that this pattern inside you was never really you. It's just something inside you that needed a big hug, a big pat, a bit of validation, you could say, from your own being, like Meg said. But yeah, very good answers and replies there. Great. Okay. Charles, did you fix your microphone? We are going overboard by the way, everyone. Usually it's 2 hours, but it's the first class, so. Yes, my wife is also busy replying to some questions that Alea Jade. Okay. Charles is still busy, so Marvelyn, you have a question?
Yeah. Thank you so much for the class. Really nice. My question, like two questions that I have. So I watched your YouTube channel with the chakras and been on the path, I think since January. And I've been practicing sexual transmutation and semen retention. And I think for a month now it's working really nice. I've been like, yeah, really focused and not masturbating, like not much psychological edging. Also didn't have any sexual contacts. I would say I was or I am a pretty sexual active person. And my just coming from my last relationship through that, there was a lot of lust introduced, or a lot of egos, I would say, that came with like kink. And I feel like it is strongly more vivid in my mind, and like I can see how it's penetrating through my yeah, taking up space and taking up awareness. Um, and my one question is how, for one, how I can mm, I don't know, not combat it, but like try and help me go beyond it, because I think part of my mind is like you've been exploring this kink and like BDSM, and you live in Berlin, and you came out of that other relationship, and why don't you go discover that? And the other part, which leads me to the second question, um, is how I can, like go out and date, and I don't know. Yeah, maybe you can answer that first question, and I can concretize the second a bit more while you speak.
Yeah, great. Uh, Great job for making it so honest and sincere. Yeah. How can I ask, how long was the last relationship? How long ago did you split up?
Yeah, so it ended in November, and we, yeah, still were in touch till like January, I think, or something.
Mm. Oh, okay, so almost a year, basically. Soon. Well, half a year, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm. Well, I think you already sensed it in a way that you phrased the question. You don't want to combat it.
Mm.
As you probably already know, we have three brains. We have the intellectual brain, emotional brain, sexual brain also. And your question is not so different from all the other questions asked, in the sense that I think at least two or three people phrased it in a similar way, that I felt a lot of stillness. It was really great, but then these thoughts came in, and it's like I don't want to battle it, but how can I go beyond it? And
Mm.
it's really just the same with with transmutation too, in the sense that yes, don't add any battling. You don't need to add any suppression. You don't need to feel anything. Just simply continue the way you are. Keep transmuting. Do some pranayama to help. Stay active. If there is old patterns, which is stimulating the fire, it's like the fire is still reverting. It's still refining. And it's normal that if there's attraction still felt, even when you go out towards other people, there's something that comes up in the mind. The magic of transmutation is that as long as you continue, those energies are being forged in a fire. And it's precisely when it is being forged in the fire is when you feel the most temptation. But you simply continue, do the practices, and it's just like staying in meditation. Don't become discouraged. Keep going, and the understanding starts to blossom, not just sexually and in the mind, like, oh, I had this kink and it's gonna go, and I don't need to think about it or whatever. The beauty of transmutation is that if you continue and you do go beyond it in the way that you want, that the way you go beyond it will be something that is integrated into you as a person, as a character, as something that you've learned. And it's something that's more in the heart. It's because there's something that lives inside and we want to battle it or go beyond it. But the key is not in trying to forcibly remove it. The key is not in trying to run away from it. Definitely the key is not in any guilt or shame connected to our own sexuality. The key is simply continue to sit, continue to be, continue to meditate, and you'll understand it in your own way, in your own deeper, your own instincts, your own intuition. Yeah. And as for your second question, well, it sounds like you're maturing in the practice, and if you feel like you want to find love again, then why not? Take things slow. Probably you might find your misses, because all of these practices that we've been doing and or that we've been looking at today, this light that we're talking about, right? The course is called Awakening This Inner Light and illuminating ourselves. It's no different from love or shining this light of love inside ourselves. Apply that to the sexual aspect. Often when, especially men who are struggling with it, often what they need next is love and support on the path. So then you would go into the practice of, white tantra and sexual alchemy rather than just practicing on your own. But, in your own time and pace whenever you're ready for that.
Mm. Yeah, thank you. I think to concretize where I'm at right now is I think I'm a bit lost. Not lost, but I have the direction, but I think that I am very much figuring out a new way of making love and like how I want to introduce that into my life. And I guess mm, I'm a bit like it feels like um for now I'm kind of like trying to asexualize a bit to like desensitize my brain and like get rid of all of what I've been programmed in the past just to um not feel the urge too much to go into like repetitive old sexual patterns and try and seek that in other people. But at the same time, my intuition is like that's also not the path. But it feels like it's the path for now to just like desens not yeah, to not go into old patterns. And I feel like what's the next step and how can I discover that with another person and how can I uh, c- mm, what could be my guidance for not falling back into lust? Yeah.
Well, I would sit with all of this in meditation. Observe all the things you just said, observe the patterns, and you'll find something deeper. As for the way you make love, well, it's a two-way thing, right? And it's something I wouldn't worry about because I think every couple has their own dance, right? In order to make love, it's all each couple has their own particular dance, right? And you work it out together, you know? Yeah, yeah. It sounds like you're doing okay.
And the last question, and then I'm done. Um, because I'm not sure if I've really found that in the videos or on the platform yet. But what is your take on um like masturbation itself? Do you in your teaching or even would you say masturbation is something that you practice with yourself still, or is that something that you renounce?
Well, in terms of sexual transmutation and the that practice, it's it just it's like you're holding the energy, right? And so it's the energy is already full, and you usually, especially, well, everyone, they get more, the mind becomes more, it stimulates the fire even more, right? And so adding even more stimulation with your own physicality, usually this only adds more fuel to the negative fire, we could say. I don't want to say positive and negative with it, but in order to retain the fire, which is already lit up, look at any man who is not practicing sexual transmutation. There's not much fire, right? Someone who is retaining the energy, fire is already awake. If you stimulate that, especially by yourself, then the fire will just go again at some point, probably, because it's stimulating itself, if that makes sense. So that's why the next stage to this is White Tantra, which you can see my video on YouTube about, which is the next phase. But yes, strictly in terms of, especially this is coming from the Gnostic teachings. No, it's strongly advised against. It doesn't help with the retaining
I think,
the energy.
yeah, I think my confusion, I think at some deeper level, I kind of understand it, but what I'm referring to would be masturbation without orgasm, and the distinction between having sex with your partner and White Tantra not having orgasm and being by yourself, like for someone that is single.
Yeah, no, it's still strictly, even if it's without the orgasm, it's still against the practice because it's stimulating in a way that would eventually lead to not cultivating the energy how it's meant to be. Yeah.
Understand.
Okay.
Thank you.
Charles, do
Yeah.
you?
Can you hear me
Oh,
now?
great.
Yeah.
Yes, can hear
Yeah,
you
I
now.
had a little problem. I was using headphones, and these headphones are like they just broke. Yeah. But
Okay.
I was doing your Vols meditation and all that stuff, and I listened to your stop listen to your thoughts videos probably like 4 or 5 times, and I would not lie, it's not an easy thing. And Buddha say, and most spiritual teachings they always say, observe the mind and look within. And I be practicing like a bunch of things. Like I'm into now. I'm too deep into too much things. I don't believe in religion or whatever or nothing. But I'll go to the church and do a bunch of things. But just to always see how the word is going, and I became more aware of my higher self. You get me? And my question was, how can I, like, the practices are sometimes can become egoistic because it's not you doing it, you just forcing it because you want something. And yes, and I want to know how to maintain, like, and know when it's me and it's not the ego. Because yeah, because sometimes I feel like it's ego. Because like just doing Kundalini for 2 hours or 1 hour every day, or doing Tai Chi or Qigong or whatever type of things, or forcing fast, or trying to become a breatharian. Most people don't know about certain stuff, but there's a bunch of
Yeah,
knowledge out there and
yeah,
spiritual.
it's an important question. How to know whether you're doing something consciously and
Yeah,
whether you're doing something mechanically.
yeah.
And I
Because
think it
we
takes,
just go look for things. We do it unconsciously. Even we think it's conscious, it's not. Because the mind plays a lot of games, like, and we just gotta go out of no mind at all.
yeah, yeah.
It's hard. It's not easy.
it takes a lot of reflection, a lot of sincere reflection. I would say get up in the mornings, put your hand on your heart, meditate, and really ask yourself, what do I really want to do and why? Because if we're doing so many practices, Tai Chi, Kundalini, etc., you know, it's like, why? And what do I really want? You know, and then when we proceed to choose the best things that we can, do them slowly.
Yeah.
And even if the mind is doing it, even if you can see that the mind is doing it, observe that the mind is doing it. Because the more that you take your time, do it slowly, and the more that you see that your mind is doing it, then the more that you can actually do it. You can move in the ego's place. You can move in the mind's place. And it happens, you know, when people are doing, it's the same thing in meditation. You'll go sit down in meditation and you think that you're meditating, but then you can observe the mind that thinks it's meditating. That in itself is your true essence doing it consciously. You sit down in meditation. I see myself thinking I'm doing meditation, right? Seeing it, observing it, then it's a deeper presence starts to replace the superficial, the shallow, the motivated person, the one with the spiritual ambition. All you have to do is observe it. The more you observe it, the more you understand it, and the more that a more authentic part of you doing it from your heart will arrive in its place. Yeah.
And my second question is how can like I used to have a lot of astral projections and being in different planets, meeting with my twin flame, doing crazy stuff, missions in the astral, whatever. And what I saw is like it's hard to process because the astral is like is a different transmission than the normal dreams, because the normal dreams are like fears and things that the mind have and things, and you became like, imagine I have a dream that I was stabbed or somebody came at me and I have this dream repeatedly. It's something going on in the astral and I cannot perceive, and I be trying I used to do the things you thought, the Faraom to wake up in the astral all the time, the all raw on raw to help me have clear seeing is right. I think I have somewhere in a notebook, but yeah. And I had another one. Because I stopped doing. I don't know why. Because now I'm doing different stuff. Because I'm focused on 2 hours.
I would say everything that everything we're learning in this course is building a deeper foundation than all of the practices that you mentioned. Astral travel, Tai Chi, Kundalini, they're all great. We're not condemning anything or any of that, but sticking to the essential practice of being here, being now, not thinking about the next thing we want to do, not thinking about the things we want to achieve, being within the core, within the center, observing ourselves, our emotions, we start to touch something that's more true to our true self. And from there, the more that foundation is built, the more we'll know what we want to do. And also the more that our higher self, our being, will give us the experiences that we need. Probably you had, like you said, a lot of astral experiences. And probably that was a phase where you needed that. But if that kind of things stopped eventually, then the deeper part of you is asking you to now experience something more real, maybe more direct, something different. So usually asking for experiences that we had in the past is more towards the mechanical side rather than the living something new and discovering something new.
Yeah, and I had another question. Man, it's cause like I just be doing my practice, like it's just me, my mind, my spirit, and my body. It's just that I just live like doing practice. It's not just practice, because I used to do like 2 hours meditation. I think that was unnecessary because it just needs like it can be 7 minutes. 7 minutes is a lot for a meditation. If you do 7 minutes and trying to still the mind and you still for just a couple seconds, you good. You will feel because it's light, because it's something, because it's fast, because people think like in this way, in this realm. It's not this. It's that up there. Because then you go get it. Because I think it was unnecessary 2 hours for meditation. But it's not that I say I will quit. I will try to do, because you got to build up more and circulate the light and becoming more light. And yeah.
You had a question? Or just
I forgot my question because I was
okay.
It went somewhere up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but thank you and see you next
right.
time.
Yes. Okay. Well, thank you, everyone. We'll leave it there because it's almost 3 hours long. But yeah, usually we'll try to stick to the 2 hours. And yeah, the class is what the thank you. The class is what the most important thing is, and I will send some resources in the WhatsApp group. You don't have to always watch the Q&A. But yes, thank you, everyone. We'll go deeper
Thank you.
the same day and time each week. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Gracias, Jane.
Thank you. Bye,
Thank you.
everyone.
Bye bye.